Good evening, everyone. So I want to talk about what it's like when we cross over to the other side. What can we know when we leave our body? What is it like for the saints over there? We can just catch a little glimmer from it, from revelation, from just reasoning about these things. So I'm going to appeal now to a doctor of the church, St. Thomas Aquinas, and share some citations from one of the questions about knowledge of separated substances that you might find interesting. I don't know. This is an experiment. But look, this guy's wicked smart. Perhaps the smartest guy ever walked the face of the earth, St. Thomas Aquinas. And here's what he says, okay? Every intellectual substance, means us, angels, possesses intellective power by the influence of the divine light. Psalm 36, St. Augustine loves to reflect on this. In thy light we see light. So there's divine illumination. Even the atheists who are militant and deny the existence of God, any truth they know, anything they know whatsoever, is a participation in the divine light. Boy, are they in for a big surprise when they get to the other side, I tell you what. All right, so that's just an opening point here. The light of God shines on our minds. Whether we believe it or not, whether we realize it or not, it does. All right, now next. The soul in that state, okay, the state he's talking about is when the soul separates from our body. It will at some point. We don't believe that, we're in for a big shock when we suddenly lift out of our body and look back at our body, okay? Just feel your pulse sometime. There's the countdown. There will be a final beat, and our soul will separate from our body. What's it going to be like? We're thinking about the saints. What's it like for them right now? They haven't received their body back. The general resurrection of the dead, okay, has not occurred yet. So they're up there in a disembodied state. Their soul is with God. All right, what's that state like as a separated substance? Well, the soul in that state understands by means of participated species. So it's like conceptual knowledge that is infused by God, okay, of things. Like the angels. Arising from the influence of this divine light, we can still know things. When our soul separates from our body, typically we gather perceptions and then we conceive things in our intellect based on our knowledge of the sense that comes through the senses. Well, we're not going to have senses anymore. The vegetative and sensory parts of our soul are tied to the body. We will have this intellective power of the soul remaining with us, operative at that time, but it will be influenced by the divine light in such a way that God can pour knowledge into us just like the angels. Man, that's why they probably can't communicate with us that much, because we're so dumb. No offense. We're dim bulbs, man. I mean, it's hard to us to comprehend God. Perfect simplicity. We're just like an owl staring at the sun. Man, when you cross over to the other side, the knowledge that they will have is so far surpasses. It's like uncorked. You know, we have such potential for knowledge. It's restricted by our bodily state right now, and it's a fallen state as well. We have a darkened intellect and a weakened will. Man, are we dumb. Oh boy, that's supreme wisdom to realize that. So this knowledge that God is going to give us when he shines his divine light on our mind, it's not unnatural. St. Thomas says. Why can he see this? Because God is the author of this influx, both of the light of grace and the light of nature. So whatever light's shining on our brain right now, on our mind, on our heart, comes from God. When our soul separates and we are given like these This supernatural light of glory shines on our minds in a separated state. It all comes from the same source. It's not unnatural. That's an interesting point. The soul, apart from the body, has perfect knowledge of other separated souls. Cool, huh? He says, in the same way we know ourselves, we'll be able to know other souls. We'll be able to know other people. Pretty cool. But it has an imperfect and defective knowledge of the angels, so far as its natural knowledge is concerned, because they're so much higher than we are. Higher order of being. So our knowledge will be confused of angels, except unless by the light of glory God illuminates us further. But angels are going to always be a little mysterious for us to comprehend. We don't realize how awesome angels are. Look at your dog laying there on the floor. I don't know, he doesn't even know he exists, in the corner on his little bed, licking his paws and cleaning up after dinner. And you look at him and you're like, man, I feel so superior to that poor animal down there. That's how the angels look at us. That's not that far-fetched. I think it's far more the case. They look at us like they have knowledge we can't possibly imagine. Their nature is higher than ours. Now, next point. We'll have a greater freedom of intelligence. This is something corroborated by near-death experience. I love hearing these cases of people, souls leave their body and they receive infused knowledge by the divine light. And it's fascinating to hear them describe this, how they have knowledge of things. This is something St. Thomas Aquinas addresses here, greater freedom of intelligence, since the weight and care of the body, it's a clog, he says, upon the clearness of our intelligence in this present life. It's like a restrictor plate. In a carburetor, NASCAR. You don't watch NASCAR? Okay. They have a carburetor, it restricts the airflow. Anyway, so you can only go so fast in those things. Once they introduce this restrictor plate, it's to make it more fair, I guess. We have like a restrictor plate on our brain right now. When that thing's gone, even Aquinas says it's like unbelievable. Wow, that clog is removed. Now, when we receive our body back, it's going to be a spiritual body, resurrected and glorified, transfigured in glory. We will not experience a restriction from our resurrected, glorified body. Okay. But even in this state, now, what's next? The separated soul has knowledge of singulars. That means like extended things, external things, back here. It's fun to think about. What do they know about us back here? What's going on down here? They know we're here right now, the Feast of All Saints, worshiping God with them. Well, they do. By being in a way, they can know of us in different ways when they're determined to us in a special way, by either a vestige of previous knowledge or affection. Those who are tied to us in some way when they get to the other side, they can maintain a certain connection with us and knowledge of our affairs, of external things down here. It's pretty cool to think about. This is some Pope St. Gregory. St. Thomas Aquinas quotes this great Pope of the 5th century who says about Pope Gregory now, St. Pope Gregory the Great, says, since these souls see the light of Almighty God, we can't believe that external things are unknown to them. If they see God, and God knows everything, by extension, they know the affairs down here back on earth. Thomas agrees with this. Augustine's a little ambivalent on this. He's not quite sure. So Aquinas introduces St. Augustine and Pope Gregory, and then he sides with Gregory on this point. And he says that Gregory's opinion seems to be the more probable one, that the souls of the blessed who see God do know all that passes down here. What else? This is an important point he makes, though, that they don't suffer. When they see bad things happen to us down there, are they saddened by that? They can't be. Do they care? Obviously they care. I mean, they're praying for us, for crying out loud. What are they doing up there in the book of Revelation? There's an angel before the throne of God at a golden altar, burning incense. And the saints are all around this altar before the throne of God, and their prayers are mingling with the incense before God's holy throne. What are they praying for up there? They're praying for us. They must have knowledge of our affairs down here, and they must care for them to be praying for us now. But they don't suffer from sorrow. That first reading from Revelation, you keep reading, I mean, it says repeatedly, weeping. The tears will be dried. Okay? There will be no sadness or sorrow there in heaven. So they do not suffer from sorrow, nor do they interfere in mundane affairs, except in accordance with divine justice, if God makes some exception to that. But they don't interfere with the affairs down here, but they're aware on some level. Moreover, the affairs of the living can be made known to them, not immediately, but souls who come there after them can tell them things and report to them. So I'm around dying people all the time as a priest. So I've actually patched messages through to the other side on numerous occasions. Somebody who's about to cross into eternity, who's still lucid, and who's openly talking about their crossing into eternity. I've said, hey, could you say hi to my mom when you get over there? And they were sincere about this. Absolutely, I will. So I take them at their word. They said hi to my mom. I established a chain of communication there with my mother. That's just deeply consoling to me that Aquinas says this. But we shouldn't try to communicate with the dead. I hear there's even a device you can get called Speak to Me or something like that. There's an app you can get on your phone now where you can supposedly communicate with the dead. We call this necromancy, okay? That is opening a door to the diabolical. That is something forbidden by the church for us to do, to try to do that. I mean, of course, we do it in Mass when we join our prayers to theirs, but trying to communicate with the dead is inviting the demonic into our lives and opening doors to things. We do not want to do that. So anyway, also angels can reveal things to souls, or the Holy Spirit can directly reveal things to a soul about affairs back here on earth that they have some affection for. Anyway, I hope you found that interesting and hopeful, folks. This is reality when we get to the other side. And this fog lifts off of our brain and we get to the other side. That's the fullness of reality. We're in this dream world down here. The fullness of reality awaits to us. This is just a little antechamber. We're just a little flash in the pan down here. Okay? A breath, shadow. Life truly begins when we get to the other side.